And we're live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another Saturday night stream. Me live coding the operating system in the browser with React, TypeScript, styled components, WebAssembly, that kind of stuff. This is week 30. I've been doing this for 30 weeks straight. Yeah, I'm happy to have everybody along for the ride. If you've liked what I've been doing, please throw me a like. If you want to support me, motivate me, that kind of thing, please subscribe. Keeps you updated too on any videos I post, such as these weekly ones that I do every Saturday at 9 p.m. Pacific time, up here in Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, Earth, North America. So yeah, I think let's take a review of the app, and then I wanted to discuss an idea that I'm a work in progress for an app I'm working on for part of it, a little addition, and then we'll start getting into the code itself. And also feel free to throw a message in the chat. I see one here from Ravi saying good morning. Good morning, Ravi. It's good evening for me, but I'm sure it's good morning for half the world at least, probably, or a good chunk of it, a quarter. I don't know. Anyways. Let's switch over to the browser here and kind of see what we got so far. This is the app running as is from master branch from the code here, and the code is in this repository here at Dustin Brett GitHub. X is the name of it for now. It's got 1,400 stars, which is not too bad. 1,388 to be precise. So pretty proud about that. It's not the master branch we're working off of though. We're on the redo branch now. Have been for a while. We've already done 612 commits, and we're going to add another 20 or ish so today, I believe. What kind of things does it do? We got a start menu. We got little different icons here. We got a clock. We don't have a right-click menu yet. Well, we do have right-click menus. You see here for an icon, I can right-click. We have that right-click menu, but we don't have one here yet. We're going to add some context menus today in a couple places. We got a file explorer. With unsorted files right now. We're going to do some sorting this episode too for sorting the files. We got different icons, different subfolders, that kind of thing. These all are different file types that you can open that I've made. Minimize, maximize, all those fancy effects are coming together slowly. Got an x86 emulator so you can run things like a Linux ISO, such as this one. Today we're going to have auto resize windows go into the center automatically before you've set a position. I feel like that's a little smoother and I prefer it. So got Linux here. Got Linux even to the point where we can go into the or into the folders. Here we go, you see? We can go CD, desktop, and then ls, and you can actually see the same three shortcuts that are right here. And you can even look at the data on them. Cat, File Explorer. Yeah, there it is. This is the URL shortcut text data that represents these. We can close this. We can open up Winamp here. You guys know Winamp. It's a classic. Got that. We got a DOS emulator, so we can run things like Doom and any DOS app of any kind, game or otherwise. We have some other ISOs you can load, such as a full Visual OS version here. This is an OS called Calibri that I've got on here, a very small one. Takes a few seconds to boot, but this is running almost like Linux, basically, equivalent to it. There's a known little bug there. You guys see a console error there for another day. We also have a Flash player as well called Ruffle, so we can play Flash animations, such as this Windows one. It's like a pretend version of Windows that for some reason didn't quite load. Oh, there we go. It's a little slow, or I'm a little impatient, one of the two. Probably both. Or the Badger one, if you know. Badger. Mushroom. What other ones I got here? That's about it for now. I got different skins for Winamp too. So you open Winamp here, and then if you want to change to a different skin, I have a couple here. This is the one SpyAmp that I used to use all the time. So we've got quite a few things, and we're going to add some more today. There's some music here. You can double click. Today we're going to add autoplay. You see it added to the list, but it doesn't autoplay it yet. I've decided I prefer autoplay. I think I actually designed it without autoplay, but then I changed my mind now. So that's what we have so far. There's still a lot to do, as you can see from all the post-it notes behind me. The ones over there are done, and the ones over there are not. Once the ones over there are moved over there, this is going to look pretty full-featured, I'm hoping. But there's a lot of work there. There's a lot of work, anyways. A long time to go there. So let's jump back into the code editor. We've set our hellos. We've discussed the weeks. Oh yeah, just as far as what the next app I'm thinking of working on right now is from this guy called Bayou. It's a special emulator, specifically this one called Higgin. Unfortunately, this guy's website doesn't exist anymore, and he actually ended up killing himself, unfortunately. But he made a really good emulator, and I think it'd be pretty cool to have it in the app, actually. And if you see here, this is a web one using WebAssembly. And if you open it here, it can play a bunch of different ROMs. It can play N64, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis ROMs. So, like, if I press start here, I don't know which one I have preloaded. I might not have any preloaded here, but the idea is that we'll have this app, and it'll be like the other emulators, and you'll be able to double-click an .nes file and open up, play a Nintendo game, that kind of thing. I'm probably not going to put any like copyright type games unless there's some free demo ones I can find. But the idea is that you could visit my site with a ROM and just drag it on and play it if you want. So you've already made your own backup of the ROM with your ROM hardware that you have, or however you're supposed to obtain a ROM legally. I have no idea, but the emulator is not illegal as far as I understand. And then we're definitely going with an emulator theme lately here. We got the Flash emulation, x86, DOS. I wouldn't call this Winamp thing an emulator. This is just a music player. But the other ones are trying to emulate things, I think. I'm not sure how the Flash one works. Definitely the x86 and the DOS one. And then we're also going to have at some point a Windows emulator. But this Super Nintendo one, maybe next episode. I've already pretty close on it, but not enough to really get into it today. But I just thought it'd be cool to show you guys the idea there. So yeah, so as far as what we're going to do this episode, we're going to do like we've been doing for a long time now, and we're going to look at my weekly branches that I make. Branch redo episode 30 here, where in my evenings I try to toil away sometimes at playing with some of the post-it notes here, and it looks like I've done about 25 different little things, and we're going to kind of play around with them today and commit them into our redo branch. So without further ado, as I too often say, let's jump into it. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to add a transition here to peak so that it goes up and down like that. If you see here what I mean by peak, if you see a window here and then I hover over it with the mouse, this little piece right here, the preview at the bottom, it's like a mini version of it. So currently it just appears and disappears, but in Windows it goes up and it goes down. So that's what we actually want, and that's what we're going to do. And I've done it in what looks like a large amount of code, but really it's a little bit of boilerplate for using this tool called Framer Motion, this library, which is a pretty cool one. And it has a lot of different techniques it can do, such as animate in and out components when they're removed from the DOM. So it's a nice way to animate out of exiting things, which is quite nice. Got another message here from someone here, Soter Padu. Old versions of OS X should be easy to emulate. Yeah, well, I'm not sure about that for sure, but there is one that I definitely could emulate that I'm interested in. Let me try to find it here. I have so many bookmarks of things I want to do. I don't know if I can find it. This one here, Basilisk 2, I think was the one. This one I was thinking would be fun to load in. And this is this is Mac OS here. And it's pretty easy to run, actually. I was able to get it run locally, just via WebAssembly. But it's pretty massive. This is like 200 megabyte file, I think, to load this. As far as anything more modern... Oh, jeez, that played some game or something. It'd be cool anyways. I'm going to keep adding emulators, as many as I can. I mean, I'm not a WebAssembly guru, and I haven't made any of these emulators, so I'm just utilizing whatever I can find right now. Such as for DOS, I've used JS-DOS. For the x86 thing, I'm using something called v86. And soon down the road, I'm going to have a menu bar with the help. And like how with Windows we have help about, we're going to have help about for every one of these apps, and it's going to give credit where credit's due to the authors of the original thing. But anyways, using Framer Motion here, I can quickly give you a peek at Framer Motion, these things called transitions. That's what I'm going to do right now. So you can do these animates ins, where you just say animate and you say the CSS properties, and you say the before and the after, and you can also have exit do the same thing. Looks like Soter says, yeah, that one, yeah. So definitely, I'm thinking about it. It's definitely a consideration. I've got so many emulators and bookmarks of things that I want to get into. So yeah, down the road. So I don't want to focus too much on apps sometimes because I'm always working on the system itself still, like these visual things, you know, having the peak window pop in and out. So I want to get the system really solid, and then hopefully down the road make it easier for people to add their own apps too would be nice. So it's not just me making every app, but I need to be a little more modular before I can really get that going. So there's framer motion for you. I won't get too deep into it, but I will get deep into it from the point of view of let's code this thing. So I'm going to jump into the code now, and we're going to go to the first part, which is a peak window here. And for peak window, and the way that I've been doing these is adding this transition hooks. So if you see for like the, where is it here? For the taskbar entry itself, if we go back to the browser, when I open a new taskbar entry at the bottom here, you can see that it in and out goes kind of thing. So it has some transitions already. So the same idea as the taskbar entry has this use taskbar transition, which is pretty much the same boilerplate of this framer motion one, where you get some stuff from the theme, you do a little bit of math on the CSS properties, let's say, and then you just output this format that works for it, for framer motion. We're going to do the same for peak. And I'm just going to start doing a little copy pasting here. So I'm going to call it the use peak transition. Should I say transitions? I guess not. I went use taskbar transition, so I'll just stick with the singular of that. And we'll just add it on here like so. Pretty simple change there. So now we've moved the burden of responsibility to the hook. Let's make the hook. Use peak transition.ts. And I'm just going to copy what I have already in that commit, and we'll just do a quick review of it. Let's see if it needs any supporting files. We'll just look at it. We don't need a diff, seeing as how it's just this. I'm going to get rid of this console right here. It's in the way for now. So very boilerplatey in the same way with the motion props from Framer, use theme, a few constants for how long the window should, for how long the transition should go, and a function to convert pixels to a number. So I don't have this theme variable yet of the peak height and the peak margin. We're going to move those from the styled component into the theme so that we can access them in several places like this. Basically, I just check the container height, and then I say on load, it's the full height at full opacity, and before load, it's no height with no opacity. And that's one thing with framer motion is you usually have to be explicit with both directions. So I can't just say start at 0 height, because then it'll just stay at 0 height, even though maybe in the CSS you have it to be a certain height. In framer motion, if you've said start at this height, it doesn't. You need to say, you need to tell what the active variant is, what it has to animate into. And you don't have to use this variant format, but this is the format that I've used, where you specify the variants here, and then you can use them more than once here for the animate, the exit, and the initial. This is my way of having the initial and the exit kind of be the same, is by making them a variant here. Otherwise, you'd have to take this piece and paste it in twice, which is a bit of duplication. And as far as the transition, I've decided on it's the ease in out one for now. That looks similar to how it looked on Windows. So let's save these two changes here. And then what's the next change? We need to move those numbers into a theme. So if we look at the styled peak window here, the two numbers that it was talking about, I think, were the image here and the margin, was it? Yeah, it's a little confusing, actually. I put peak height as the name of the variable here, but it should be peak image height, because the peak height is the image plus the padding, plus the margins on the top and bottom. So if I say peak height, it's almost like I'm saying both. So we're going to fix this to be image height, and I'll use this, this camel case style. As far as the margins, I think it's the same story, honestly. These are the image margins. Or maybe I should just say peak image then here. Peak image, because that's actually the only... I'm only messing with the peak image. Yeah, we'll do that. So the peak image height and the peak image margin. And those numbers were 82 and 8. We're going to move those. And one other consequence that I noticed that I have to fix here is adding overflow hidden. Basically, when I started setting that transition... For some odd reason, it's like, or wait, now that I think about it, I know what the reasoning is. The pieces inside the container are already full height, but the container's not full height. So as it starts to size, something in the container is already so tall that it's going below, and it was actually going into the taskbar. So by doing overflow hidden on the container, that stuff inside the container that's bigger than the container can't go outside the container and appear in the taskbar. And maybe what I'll do is, well, I want to comment it out, but my stupid autosave really messes with comments in CSS now. Watch, if I comment this out and press save, what happens here? Yeah, what was that? Now put overflow behind this and the comments up here. It's like, what's that doing? That I'm not a fan of that, but I like autosave when it works. So I just won't add this for a second so you guys can see the effect that I'm talking about. And then one thing we have to do, because we want motion on this div, is we have to make it a motion div. And to do that, all we have to do is this. Styled, and then a motion div. And then we import motion from the framer motion library. There we go. And that's that one. And we move on to the theme and adding this piece. So let's go into the theme here. Styles, styles, default theme, sizes. And what was it? Taskbar entry, LMNOP, peak image. Height was 82 pixels, I think. Yeah, 82 pixels. And the margin was 8 pixels. There we go. That should cover us for the theme, and it shouldn't be complaining anymore. Yeah, you see the autocomplete squiggly lines have gone away, so it now detects where I've added it. Now on the taskbar entry, we have to wrap the peak element. The peak component's right here. And what you have to do is wrap it in this animate presence here, like that. And by wrapping it in animate presence, it allows framer motion to see when the thing is removed. So there's a condition here that says only if this is false, then this component shouldn't be rendered. Animate presence wrapping around that can detect that and then do the exit animation. So that's why we want to use animate presence as well, which I'll add there. And I think that was it, honestly. That was all the changes we needed for that piece. So let's take a look at it now. Do a refresh here. So we open up this, and if I hover, it completely crashes. What happened? Oh, somewhere I used the old variable, I think. Not here. Not here. Here it was. No, wait. In the transition. Yes. I didn't update this to be peak image. There we go. That should make it not crash. Let's try this again. There we go. So you see how we got a cool effect there, but you saw that the image was over top of the taskbar during the transition. So that is where we just had to go in and add that overflow piece, which was right here. Overflow hidden. Now, when we hover, there we go. We get the cool transition of peak without it going over anything on the bottom left there. And I'm pretty happy with that. I think there's an occasional twitchiness that I've noticed depending on how I move my mouse. I've logged the bug, I think, for that somewhere. I think I've logged the bug on the board for that because that was bothering me. But that one's done. We did one. Peak, animate, in, out. Do a quick review of the changes here. We wrapped that in animate presence. We dumped the use peak transitions return object, the motion props, onto the component. We made the component a motion component. We added overflow hidden so that the content inside doesn't go over when the height is smaller than what's inside it. We've turned these image height pieces into theme numbers so that we could calculate the full height of the image plus its padding. And then if you see here, the way we're calculating that is just right here, where we take its height and then its margin times 2, because it has a top and a bottom margin. It also has left and right, but we only care about the height. So you could argue that this isn't totally clear. The times 2, it's like you need to know that the 2 is because it's on top and on bottom. But I haven't thought of a better way to write that, and it's pretty simple, so I'm not going to overthink it for now. Otherwise, it's just your typical motion props from a framer motion. And then I added the size stuff to the theme. Peak, animate, in and out. Done. Bring the theme notes back here. And that's our first one done. Let's move on. How long did it take to get one done? We're 20 minutes in and we've done our first one. Here was another interesting one here. So this is that thing I was talking about where when I press save, it auto-saves stuff or auto-does stuff. I like that. Right now it does organize and it does fix all. And source is referring to like ESLint or StyleLint and what it has ability to fix automatically. And another one that I found is called add missing imports, which is another nice feature I'd like to have. Because then if it can auto import something, this will auto import it as well. And this is mentioned in VS Code's JavaScript documentation, actually. If we look for it here, I think it's in the section called Code Actions on Save. And they mention that there's 4 here. Only 3 really relevant ones. Fix all, organize, and the add missing. And all of these sound pretty good to me. So I think they're worth doing. Let's add it. Add missing import. We can see what I did. We can see I did it here. Added that source part, like so. And alphabetically, these were out of order anyways. Actually, it was OF when it should have been ADF or AFO. Sorry. So let's reorganize it at the same time. And this is the VS Code file that tells your VS Code to do certain things. So yeah, we had organize and fix all. Now we have fix all, organize, and the add missing. It's better. Better but minor, which you could say about a huge amount of the commits I do in general. Next up is add directory menu. Oh, nice. We got a context menu here. Oh, powered by vitamin water today. Don't have my usual Red Bull. The triple X one. One of the better ones. So what did I do here? Looks like I did a lot, actually. Oh yes, so I've added a context menu for the folders. So that'll be for the desktop and for the File Explorer folders, that when you right-click on them, you get the options to refresh or to make a new folder or a text document. So that's pretty cool. Let's start with at the end and make this file here in the file manager. Let's go to the file manager. Components, system, files, file manager. And I'm not 100% sure I like that structure, but that's just the way it is. Maybe file manager should be the root, but it organically occurred this way. I'm not going to change it. What was it called again? Use folder context menu.ts. And this is actually modeled over after another folder, another one I have, I think. Yeah, for the file entry. Currently, I have the file entry one, which I just call use context menu. I'm going to rename that, and I'm going to use this use file context menu, use folder context menu. That's that system, that way of wording it. So here's the folder one. It's basically just directly exporting these menu items that I've created. And it's using a folder actions as a new little concept I've made that we're going to get into. Similar to what I have with file actions. So if you see here, this other use context menu for files, it returns something similar, these menu items. So it's the same concept. We're just kind of adding a new context menu with the same menu item idea. But we've had to add in the same way that if you go into what currently I'm calling use files, I'm going to rename that in a second. I have this thing called file actions where you can delete a file, you can download a file, you can rename a file. But what this should be called is use folder, because this is absolutely about the folder. So I'm going to rename it to be called use folder. Yep, update the imports as many as it can. And this just makes a lot more sense as use folder. It even, like, the thing it takes is a directory, so. And it's not all about the files. I mean, in a way it is, but it's about the directory, and the directory is about the files. As far as how it makes these items, refresh is as simple as just running the update files command again. That command, it already exists, and is the initial command that happens anyways. Yeah, it's basically like refresh. If I passed in something here, I could append an extra file on there. And then as far as how to make a document, I've made a function called new path. And the new path can take a Boolean as the second argument, which says it's a directory or not. I've done this to make it so that you can make a file that has no extension. So it has you could make a file called new folder if you wanted to. There's some reasons why we're not going to do that yet because I don't have other parts that are perfectly set up. But I've decided to go with this idea of a new path where it could be a file, it could be a folder, and then the new path will figure it out kind of thing. Rather than having two functions where it's like new file or new folder. Which could make sense, I guess. Maybe I should do that, honestly. Let's do that. I'm going to do it right here. New file and new folder. Because I don't like this when you pass booleans where it's like true. Okay, what's that mean, true? I could turn this into a constant, but at the same time, let's just have a new file function and a new folder function where I don't pass a boolean. There we go. I'm happier with that. We're going to have to tweak folder actions, but it doesn't even exist yet, so we're on the right track. But we've made that one file. Now we can... So I've renamed use folder. Let's go into the use folder one next. Here. All I did so far... It used to be called use files. This is now the use folder. And let's look at some of the things that I want to change. So first we want that folder actions to be one of the exports. Here it is. Here's how new path worked. What we're going to do is we're going to have it be that other format instead with its new file and a new folder. And there's no booleans here. And in both cases, it's a path, I guess. I guess with new file, I could say file path. Let's just say path. It is a path either way. But the function itself now makes more sense. That's more explicit. I prefer that. We will export the folder actions. We're going to not call this files anymore. We're going to call this a folder now that has files inside it. That makes way more sense. As far... I'm seeing here that I refactored some other piece for some wonky reason. This delete file, I think, has a bug. Yeah. Darn it, I did two things at once here, I can see, yeah. We're not going to do these two changes, but this delete file has a bug where unlink is specifically to delete a file. So delete file does not delete folders currently. We're going to have to get back to that. Let me make a new file here and just dump in that change so I remember. Right. That's a weird change I've written here. I'm confused by my own change. Oh, no, I'm not. Am I? We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. I've got it written down, so... I did a thing that I hate doing where I have a commit that has two things in it. Because then when I'm trying to show you guys, it's like, I get lost. So let's copy that new path function here that I have. We'll paste it below... Paste it here. This was the new path function. Also, we can do the export of the folder actions here. But oops. There we go. Instead of new path, it's going to be new file and new folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to just copy this new path twice, maybe. And we'll just do the new file, new folder. New folder. Okay, so how does this thing work currently? Currently, it does some checking. Yeah, this is a waste of time even to check this, honestly. So because if we just pass the right function, then we don't have to worry about that. So if it's a new file, I want to do write file. And I'll just put this piece here. The relative path. Okay. That becomes a lot more simple, right? And if it's a new directory, same story. Take the directory piece. And just put this like so. Where did I even get is directory from? Where was... Oh, right. That's the Boolean that gets passed. Yeah, that leaves it up to the developer. I don't like it. There we go. And we need resolve. Hey, there's auto import now. So watch. So path right now only has base name in it. But if I press save, there's a good chance it might auto import it at the same time. Save. Look at that. Formatted and auto imported. I like that part of autosave. So this looks a lot more clean as far as new file and new folder. I'm not 100% sure yet if it works, but it's straightforward. And one thing I want to add, a feature I have on the board to do, is when I make a new file, when I make a new folder in Windows, it automatically puts it into rename mode, so you can rename it. But the way that I've done rename mode, as I'm calling it, it's kind of not in the right flow to do that properly right now, so we're not going to do that piece just yet. Right now, we're just going to have the ability to make new files and folders. Okay, I think we've changed everything we needed to change in this file as well, except for that piece, the that I want to add after the fact. Let's go into the file manager now. Wherever the heck it is. Here it is. And what do we want to add to the file manager? First, we want to call use files. It's going to be called use folder now. There we go. That's the first nice little fix. And we could probably import this context menu. If you guys remember, I've made the folder context menu. It needs to be part of this. So we'll say use folder context menu. And we'll just, where are we going to use it? Oh, right. Right. Yeah, currently I have a different system for how I'm doing context menus. We're going to change this in the near future, but I'm just going to commit this as is, and then we'll fix it later. So the way I have it right now to do context menus is I have a hook called use menu that creates this, that gives you a context menu function. And the context menu function allows you to change the context menu component, which is only in one place via a context. It's always globally just there, kind of hidden. And then I run the hook here to generate a menu. And then final step is on the file manager piece here. I do that where I paste it in. Oops. Where I say on context menu capture, we return a function that gives us the menu. So this works. I've done this in previous ones for my, like for the file context menu. But what I want to do in the future, in a near future commit, maybe I'll just do it now. No, I'll do it in the near future, and maybe the next commit or something. I know it's part of the commits that I did, is that this piece here and this piece here can be part of the use folder context menu hook, and we just put it directly here to save ourselves a little time. And it's just cleaner that way. So we'll get to be doing that in a second. So I need the folder actions here, which would be that, because we're passing those to the context menu. Remember that had the new file, new folder functions. Update files, which we already had for doing a refresh. And the URL, which do we need the URL? We don't even need the URL. Why was I passing the URL? That's another oversight on my part. So we don't need the URL. We're not using it. Let's get rid of passing that. Where was it here? Wow, so quickly I have too many things open. Here it is. No URL. That's better. Press save. Hopefully it auto imports the menu too. Nice. It even knew about use menu. And I think that file is done too. So we've added the context menu on the file manager. Next piece of the puzzle is what? The use file context I need to update because I changed its name. Where is that here? Use, oh right, use context menu. This has been updated, has it? Where did here? Use folder here. Right, because it was getting file actions from there. So that didn't change. Is there anywhere else where use folder was being used? There, most of the times it was just using file actions. Yeah, it was just for file or folder actions. So we actually pretty much updated that too. I wanted to, wait, use file context menu. That's interesting. Okay. So I did rename this. This context menu here needs to be called use file context menu. Let's rename it right now. Use file context menu. Just like how there's a use folder context menu. We're trying to be consistent with these. You know, now that I'm changing this one, I feel like doing that other hook that I was telling you guys about. Let's just do it now, so that for future context menu changes, it's the proper way. So what I wanted to do, where was it here? In the index. Yeah, this piece, I just want this to be directly passed to this. I much prefer that. So we'll take this with us. And we know about that. There. So we'll take these three pieces. And we just need to change the way that the folder context menu exports. So instead of returning menu item, it's going to return the, what is it returning? On context, yeah, it's returning this. I wonder if yeah, we got to rethink the type here because I don't have it in front of me. I think in a future, let me just look at that future commit where I did fix this. When did I? context. Move event handler. Yeah, here we go. I'm just looking through my notes to see how I refactored this because here we go. I see it. I've just put the export right on this piece here. So now what use menu item is exporting is this. An on context menu capture with the mouse event handler, because the mouse event handler is what the context menu hook returns. So this needs to now not return directly an array, but it needs to be a function with this hook and then returning the array. Oh, something's wrong with the formatting here because it's mad. Oh, because I have all this junk up here. There we go. That's part of the battle. Now this piece is wrong. This is going to be the menu now. So let's just make this a variable. We'll call it the menu items. And it was the menu item array. And paste that in there. And then for the return, it's basically just what was up here. This is what's going to be returned, which I already have in my clipboard here. There we go. So that's the better format. This is basically an all-contained context menu, where it gets the right hook, it makes the menu, and it even passes the right handler of an on-context menu capture. Capture is what I want. The reason I'm doing capture and not just on-context menu is if I do just on-context menu, I believe it does bubbling instead of capturing of the clicks. And then if you click on a file, it was still clicking the folder one. It was like starting at the bottom of the DOM events. So capture is what I wanted. I want whatever the first thing that's clicked to be triggered first. That takes precedence. So this is the better format. We got the better format now for that one. And I wanted to fix the file format one as well. This one here, which we've renamed this to be use file context menu. Let's rename the file as well. And the import, sure. Where was it being imported? Let's fix wherever it was being imported, because it's probably still being imported wrong name-wise. Here we go. Change that to be that. And we're going to do the exact same thing here, actually. We're going to take this one, and we're going to embed it right here. Like that. And then this piece can be taken out, and so can this, and so can that. And so can some of the imports here, this one at least. Here we go. So that's a bit more organized there, but then in the file context menu, we need to tweak it the same way. Let me just check how I tweaked the other one. So we need that context menu again, which I'll just put at the bottom here. Yeah, put it at the bottom. And here we were returning menu items. It was already called menu items, the same, but now we want it to be like that. Sorry, like this, like that. There we go. And we need to update the return type to not be returning menu items anymore. Now it's returning that context menu capture here. Same story. This could be a generic type, but I don't think it needs to be. It fits on a one line easily enough. There we go. So now the use file context is also simplified. Use folder and use file context menus now have that standardized format. So I'll do the same for any future ones. Let's go back to our changes here now. And see, we did the folder change. Ah, yes, I need to change capture for the file as well. Oh wait, I already did, didn't I? Right, I guess I did already do that. Then when I change the file entry, let's just double check ourselves here. The file entry index. Yeah, now that I'm using this, I've gotten rid of the doing on context menu because that needs to be on context menu capture. And now I'm exporting it as on context menu capture. So now it'll be capture event. So that will resolve that piece. This one we already renamed. I think we just did everything here. Yeah, we just did everything. So I'll come back to this for fixing delete. That's another commit. But let's just see what we got here. We made that folder context menu. And we renamed use files to be use folder. We made these two simple new file, new folder commands. I think we're ready to check out if it worked. Let's refresh this and right click on the desktop. There it is. We got refresh, we have new, and we have a folder and a text document. If I click folder, there we go. I got a new folder and it's a real folder like so. And if I right click and I go new text document, we get a new text document. And if I double click it, nothing happens because I don't have anything to open text documents, unfortunately. I could download it. I have download. I can rename it, I think, in theory. But anyways, that's cool. So that's a new file menu, and that means we also have a menu here as well. And we can make a new folder in here. Close that, open it back up. It's still there. You can rename it to be cookie. Close the folder, open it up. It's still cookie. Rename this one to be duck. Open up duck. You got a cookie inside it. Open up cookie. Then you have a new document if you want. You can make a new text document. Call it woof. Close it. Open it. Still there. All right. Cool. So that works. Let's clear our cache so we can start with a fresh slate again. Jump back to the code, and I think we're ready to commit this one. This single commit was supposed to be added directory context menu. Added directory context menu. And I did some renaming and some genericizing of the other context menu pieces, but that's almost not worth mentioning. Except I just mentioned it. I'm not going to mention it in the commit, though. It's a secret between us. Okay, so added directory context menu, and I think we're ready to commit it. Hesitant to commit. There. And what was the next one I wanted to do? I wanted to fix delete. I'll just show you guys delete not working. So easily enough, let's make a new folder and let's make a new file. If I right click the file and press delete, it's gone. If I refresh, it's still gone. If I right click the folder and press delete, it's gone. If I refresh, it's not gone. So the reason it's gone is because I deleted from the array too, of where it should have been, on the expectation that it is gone, which it's not, unfortunately. But we're going to fix that. Let me just find where I have it. Here's the function here called delete file. And I'm trying to understand how I've rewritten it here because I've confused myself slightly on how I've rewritten it. Okay. I've made delete file into a multi-function command. Is that necessary? Yeah, it is. Okay, let's take a peek. So here's how delete file was. I'm going to comment that out. And here's how delete file is now. So what's changed? Basically, this was already what this was doing. This was doing the remove file. Or wait a minute, sorry. The remove file removes it from the list. That part I wanted to keep. That part was this filter function after set files. So this, regardless of whether you delete a directory or a file, you do want to delete it from the list after the fact. Because I don't want to re-grab all the lists. It's a bit inefficient. As long as it does properly delete, I'm okay to just delete it from the list. Now, the additional change that I've done here is this fstat command, where we see if it's a directory or not. So if it's a directory, we do rm directory. Otherwise, we do the unlink. And I don't know of a better way at the moment. I got a message here from somebody here, from Sergey Soy. Dustin, hi. Can you please show how to make loading page like on Real OS? Maybe on the next lesson. Loading a page like a Real OS. It's an interesting thought. I don't exactly necessarily know what you mean, but if you could elaborate on loading page, that would help. But it is interesting, yeah. I'd love to elaborate, and hopefully I'll get there. I'm hoping to do everything an OS can do, minus working with the hardware, of course. Let's see if we fixed it. Let's see how this new delete file command works. So we go into the browser. I just made the new delete file command, so let's bring that text document back to and do this test again. So we refresh, we got two files, or we got two entries. We delete the text file and refresh, it's gone. We delete the folder and refresh, it's gone. Cool. So we fixed it. Simple enough. Fixed, deleting folder. Yeah, I just fixed deleting folder. I didn't break deleting file, luckily. Because you never know with me. All right, another one done. What's next on our list here? I feel like we're going slow through them for some reason. 40. Maybe I'm explaining too much or not enough. I don't know. You guys tell me. What's next? That was, yeah, we're only in the third commit. Jeez. Okay, what's next? Optimal append, better path. What did I change here? This was doing append. Oh yeah, it would read the directory, and then if it was append, it never needed the contents in the first place. So now I say, oh, is it append? Just do this. Otherwise, then read the directory. Yeah, that makes more sense. That was inefficient. So let's improve update files function. We jump back into the code here. Find wherever the heck the darn function is. Here it is. And we'll just change it from that to this. There we go. Basically the same idea, but instead of doing checking for the append after reading the directory, we'll do it first and save ourselves the time. And it looks like I changed one more thing here. I had modified new path. Why did I do that? Interesting. Let's look at this together and try to figure out what I did here. This is that command, because I don't have new path now. Now I have new file and new folder. But I added a function called add path that would do update files. Oh, before I was just running update files like a refresh. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is more efficient. So instead of doing a refresh and having it pop back to the top, because I don't have sorting logic perfectly figured out, this will allow it to just be appended and not create a new command, not create a new a refresh of the folder. So let's do that instead. Actually, that's a good fix. That's two things though. It's kind of the same thing. Make adding files more efficient. This was one piece of the function, and then this piece here where I'm making things, instead of just doing a refresh, do that. There we go. Oh, this doesn't fit on one line. That's okay. Ooh, I don't like that formatting that it decided on. What can be done about it? Nothing, I guess. Yeah, that's just the way it is. I don't like the way it auto-formatted that. Could this just be... I don't have to make this every time, I guess. This could just be a one-time thing. Empty buffer. Does it reference it, though? I don't think so. A buffer is a buffer. Let's try... am I right on that? What if I do that? Const empty buffer equals this. Does that make sense? Make an object? I wonder if it'd be the same buffer every time. That's my concern. How can you... I guess I could try to test that. Let's try to test that in the console. So here's a console here. Let's say whoop equals this... wait, what happened? Buffer is not defined. Oh yeah, that's a node thing. Ugh. Maybe I can just polyfill the buffer quick. Got a thing here from... another message here from Soder Padu. Off-topic question. Did you studied about adding USB support? Maybe something involving file system. Yeah, no, definitely I'd like to. Yeah, for sure. It's further down the road, but yeah, it's a good idea. And yeah, web USB is the way to do it. All the web APIs are very interesting right now, actually. Interesting time to be doing this kind of thing, I feel like. So how do I feel about this empty buffer idea? Does that make any sense? Rather than making a buffer every time? I can't imagine it makes almost any difference, so let's not worry about that. I literally just wanted to make this line shorter. This resolve piece, does that need to be like that? Maybe it doesn't. I mean, resolve is kind of inefficient when I already know exactly what this is supposed to be structured as. Don't I? Maybe that's the problem I had here with my new path. Instead of making something, I should have just done a resolve. All right, I'm not going to overthink this formatting. It's better. What was I going to call this commit again? Improvements to appending files. Yeah. Let's quickly test it out. So now when I make a new folder, it should be at the bottom. It was not. What happened? There we go. Yeah, I just needed to refresh, I guess. Whoa, what happened there? Oh yeah, because they're both called new folder. Ah, that's one of the next things I'm going to fix, actually. I forgot about that. I'm going to make it... I already have the concept of iterating file names. I just need to add it to this idea, this piece here. Let's commit this as improved adding file efficiency. I don't think I even spelled that right, and you know what? I don't care. Committed. Let's just move on, because we got so many more to do here. Sort sort files folder, right. I've been wanting to sort the files for a while. I finally took the time to do it. Looks like I did it in a pretty simple way here. I made this function here called sort contents. Let's try to analyze what the heck I did here. Let's just jump into it. So it's in the use folder hook, which I actually had open right in front of me already. And I've made a function called sort contents. We're just going to import that function first, even before it exists. And all we're going to do on the updating of files, when it gets the new contents, we're just going to sort them like that. And I know there's dot sort that I could do too, but I think for some reason I needed to do it this way, or dot sort was just not going to be ideal because I needed some complexity to it or something. I'm not sure. I think this gets changed a few times anyways, so let's not get married to it here, but I'm not too embarrassed about it. We're going to make a functions file here. These are the helper files when I don't know what to name something, basically. And in it, we're going to paste the function that I made. So this is sort contents. And what it does is it takes the contents, right? This is why. It's because I don't want the files one at a time. I need all the files first so that I can split them into files and folders. Now, I'm not super happy with this long term because basically my logic is just if it has an extension name, then it's a file. Otherwise, it's a folder, is the logic I've decided to use. In the future, I can do fs.stat, and I can check each one to see if it's a directory, but it's a little inefficient, and I also don't have access to fs right here unless I passed it in. I've decided to go with this approach for now anyways, although I'm regretting it now because, like I said, I can just do fs.stat. It's just so inefficient. I think that's why I didn't want to do it, because I do run fs.stat on a lot of the files to make the icons. So there's already another step where I'm doing fs.stat. I don't want to do it twice. For that reason, I'm going to leave this like this, and we'll run into it if we ever have a file that has no extension, which doesn't happen at the moment. I don't have any files like that. People could make one, I guess, but that's on them if they do. For now, I don't have a solution to that. Maybe I'll make a note here for my next stream. Handle files without extensions. Definitely something to note, but I don't perfectly have it handled right now. So it goes through the contents. If it sees an extension, it considers it a file. Otherwise, it's a folder. And then at the bottom here, it just does the sort function of folders, sorting in case insensitive, and then files. And it uses the same function in both cases, which is this local compare with sensitivity of base so that it's not case sensitive. Okay, so we'll save that. And let's just take a peek at it and see if it worked. Refresh this. Let's clear the folder structure altogether, in fact. Now when we open up a file explorer, there we go. We see it's different. If you guys remember before, there were some files right at the start, I think. Now it's folders first and then files. Got another message here from Evil Twin V. Hey, I just found your project and video series. Still on first video. I just wanted to chime in and say, glad you're still actively streaming, and thanks for doing this. Much appreciated. Thanks for mentioning that. And yeah, I'm happy if you're getting something from it. I'm enjoying doing them. And I think there's not a huge amount of these kind of things online where people stream every week progress on their side projects. It's rare, but there's a couple people. Serenity OS is one of the ones that inspired me. That guy's pretty hardcore at working on a real operating system, not this faux operating system that I'm doing, but I'm trying to be as legit as I can with it anyways. Back to sort. We're done. That was sort files and folders. That's the first basic step. We're going to build on it, but let's just start with that. Sort files and folders. And there's a lot of that in these streams where I do very simple pieces. You know, it's not the best sort function in the world. That's not everything Windows can do, but it's step one. Currently, I don't even have the ability to change the sorting order at the moment, but we'll get to that. So we've committed that, and let's move on to the next one. Let's close this, close that, didn't need that anymore. And this is the last one of these 3 days of commits, and it looks like I did a lot on the 22nd. I did a little bit every day, you know, in the evenings if I have time. What's the next one here? Iterate file names. Yeah. So if you remember when I made a new folder, it made a new folder. Okay. But then if I make another new folder, it names it exactly the same. And it gets mad here. Quite mad. We don't want that. That needs to be fixed. I think that's actually probably a bug in general where I could name it the same. Maybe I should put that as another to-do. Handle user naming two files the same. I don't think I currently have anything handling that. But for making a new file, we can do something about it. And that's the commit I'm going to do right now for this. Oh, it looks a little big. It looks a little hefty, unfortunately. What have I changed here? Ay, caramba. I think I get what I'm going to do here. Let's take a peek. I'm just going to copy a piece over here. I want to it's not a secret, but I'm just trying to find the right piece to copy. So let's go to use folder. That's where we got our functions here. I think what we're probably going to end up doing is using this new path function again. I'm starting to like new path again because I've turned it into an iterative function here. So we'll probably new file and new folder are just going to be new path. Wait a minute here. How do I know if it's a directory or not? Oh, this is maybe a smarter way of doing it. What is this? I passed the file buffer. Oh, okay. That could be okay. I forgot that I did that. Now I'm happy with new path again, honestly. Let's get rid of new file and folder. So the idea of new path now is I pass a path, and then optionally I pass data. So this function can work for making empty files. It can work for... Wait a minute. It would work for empty files too. I need to pass an empty buffer. But if I pass nothing, then it's a folder. That to me is very reasonable. So I'm actually happy with that. So let's fix a few things here then. There's no longer new file and folder. Now it's called new path again, but it looks a little different now. It looks like this, I guess. We're not going to worry about iteration. We're not going to pass iteration. I don't think. Let me try to confirm here. Yeah. Oh man. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place here with this commit. This is one of those commits where it's too many. You know what I think I'm going to... No, because I've switched from using new file. That's where it's confusing. Because I had this use folder, and now I've switched to this other concept. That's where it's getting confusing. Here we go. Sorry, I was just looking at my other code here. So there. New path. We're going to take a path, and we're going to take optional file buffer. We're going to get rid of these two pieces that I already added once before. And we don't need to export them here. We just go back to exporting new path. So I'm kind of changing up my change up here again. And the function I just pasted, actually, didn't I? Yeah, this was that function here. I haven't decoded new path yet. We need to figure out what the heck I wrote here. This iterate file name has been used somewhere else. I have to find where I used that. In file drop, right. So when you drop a file in and then you drop the same file again, I had it iterating where it would add a 1 or a 2 and a 3. And I need to take that code and export and move it out into the file manager functions here. That's what we're going to do. Let me just find where I took it out. Oh man. I'm just going to change file drop by copying the changes. That's the easiest for me. There's the changes. So it's completely changed. Let's take a look at how I've changed file drop. So I basically just removed a bunch of stuff. So here was that iterate file name part. Here was another part, a function called write unique file name, where it took very similar. It takes the path, the file buffer, and the iteration. So I basically just took these two pieces and turned that into the function itself. And then this piece here, I've just switched that to be new path. And it's going to need to be passed in new path instead of being passed update files, which is very easy to do. We can even look where's used file drop right now. Is being used in the file manager. Here, it was getting that. We're just going to say, give me folder actions, .new path. There we go. So that's all it needs, and it can handle it properly now. That fixes file drop. But we took a bunch of functions out. We need to put those somewhere. Where did we put them? Oh, actually, it's only one function we needed, really, I guess. The write unique files function is just going to be is going to be what new path is now. So let's go to our functions, and I'm just going to paste that one function that I took out, which was the iterate file name. So it takes a path and an iteration, and basically just makes a new file name. Pretty simple what it does. Save that. It'll auto import the pieces it was missing. We updated the file drop to get the right path. We removed it. Right, so we're back to use folder again here. Let me get back to use folder. Let's take a look at that file drop difference one more time. This piece here, right, what it was called write unique file name has now new path, where it does write file, right? Is that what this is doing now? Check write. Oh, okay, so check write is the loop. So I've had to change this recursive function, so we're gonna have to just figure it out on the go here. But rest assured that all I did was take this recursive function and turn it into this one. But I need to understand exactly. Oh, right, here it was just writing a file. Whereas now, oh, here it was writing a file, and then this is the function that was doing the checking. Now, I've moved the checking function out to here because we can write a file or we can make a directory. So ignoring what this is for a second, you pass in the path and you possibly pass in data. And the first thing it does is was there data? Okay, then you want to write a file. Was there not data? Okay, you wanted a directory. Now what is write path? Write path is how it updates the path. Yeah, so if there's no iterations, if it's the 0th iteration, let's try to use the original path. Otherwise, we iterate the file name by doing this function here that we've discussed. That we removed that from the file drop change. And when it writes a file, it uses the write path here, the file buffer. And now it uses this WX flag. And the WX flag is so that we can get a proper error message from FS to tell us that the file is already exists without failing. So if there's no error, then it's good. We've written it. Update the list to now have appended that new file path. Otherwise, it existed. Check if it existed, and if it did, then we need to run new path command again with the iteration +1. Okay, so let's save that. It should do the auto imports once again. Yeah, it auto imported things. So that didn't have to change too much. We're gonna have to change another piece now involving the new file, new folder idea. If you remember here, I was using the empty buffer here. Now, where's that context menu? Here it is. These two pieces here need to change. It needs to be called new path and no file data. And this is also new path. And this one we give empty file data. And then this we say, actually folder actions contains new path. And that is accurate. There we go. So we had to update 4 different files. We had to move iterate in here. We took it out of file drop. We turned the recursive new file logic. We moved that out into the folder action so that it's the update files piece doesn't have to happen here. Here we just say new path. We switched this from new file folder back to just being new path because that actually makes more sense now. And that was it. Yeah. Yeah, I like this idea here of being able to make it empty. Something about that's kind of nice. Okay, let's test it out. Let's test it out. And we got another message here from Soter Padu saying it's pretty awesome and inspiring. Much appreciated. I'm happy you guys are enjoying it. Let's try it out. Let's delete this here, refresh. So we make a new folder. Okay, that's wrong right off the start. What happened? Let's take a look at the... Let's take a look at something to try to make sense of this. I think I need to pass a full path in now because I need to literally check if it exists. So I need the full path. Wait, why do I need the full path? Let's take a look at what I wrote again. So new path. Before I was just passing a file name and it was actually happy with that. Now it's not. Why is that? I think that's an error on my part. I think I should be able to use the URL from here. It's already known. It's the directory. Right. Wasn't I resolving it here? What was I doing here? This piece here, resolve directory path. That's what I should have been doing. So here, when the path comes in, I actually need to resolved path. And that's what gets used here and here. And here it looks like. Wait. Not here. It's confusing. Yeah, the right path. Is that right? I don't know about this. Then I would be... Yeah, I think this is not correct either. This also should be path. Because the path is just a file name. It's almost weird the way I've written it here. I shouldn't write it that way. Let's just say name. Yeah, let's just say name. The new path... It shouldn't even be called new path then. I keep going further from this making sense. Because, yeah, I just want the name. Let's call it new folder. And then here it gets resolved when it comes time to writing. But wait, I'm not even using the... Oh, yeah, using the right path here. So if I try to write to the true path here... But then couldn't I just do it here, perhaps? Maybe I could have just done it there. Like this piece. Then it would be like that. Resolved path equals that. And then I'll put it... But then this wouldn't be called right path. This would just be called like unique name, maybe? And then path is name. It's very confusing the way I've written this out. New path. I'm going to call this name and see if that helps in any way. So the directory and its name gets resolved. Now, if we call this unique name, it gets the name or iterate file name with the name in the iteration. And here we just pass along name. And when we update the file, we update its unique name. Wait, would unique name change? No. This would stay the same. This, yeah. Okay. I think that makes more sense by calling it name instead of path. Because I don't want to pass in the whole path. That might be a mistake that I'm doing on the other one. Here with file drop. Oh wait, where's file drop? Here. Yeah, this actually, yeah, here I'm adding directory. Again, same like, what am I doing? I already knew the directory. Did I even need it? Yeah, I didn't even need it in file drop. Simplify, simplify. Just keep simplifying, man. Nice, that looks much more clean, even still. Passing in that buffer, not an empty one. So that actually fixed it. And for file drop, then now we don't need to have passed in that piece, the URL. So this is wrong here. Just take in the folder actions. Okay, I think we got that now. It imported resolve. So now the new path function is more powerful, is basically what we did. We took what use file drop was doing, which was making unique iterated file names. We've extracted that out into the functions here, the iteration part. We've updated file drop to not need a URL and update file names, but just take that new path function, which is doing everything. Took it all out of here. Simplified that. Yep, simplified this. And this also is working now. So let's test it again and make sure it's actually working this time. We're going to clear all the data just to make sure it's fresh start. Let's try it out. So new folder. Okay, and it's a folder? Yes. And I can make a new folder in the new folder? Okay, cool. So that part works. And I can make a new text document? Yes. And now what happens if I make new ones? New folder. That didn't work. Should have made another one. Nope, so this isn't going to work either. Okay, Where are we here? What happened? Let's take a peek. It's unfortunate because at one point this was working, but I've uniqued it too much. I think my renaming has confused it. So the resolved path. Oh, okay. This would be wrong. The resolved path has to be this based on the unique name. That was my mistake. Okay. Let's nuke it all again and try again here. This time we'll just try on the desktop. Oh yeah, here's it complaining about something that broke. Anyways, new folder. That works. Now another new folder. There we go. New folder 1. New text document. Yep. A new text document. There we go. And I should be able to do this infinitum. And just make more and more. So that part works. Now let's try dragging one on. I'll try dragging on the show notes. Drag them on. There they are. Drag them on again. Yeah, there we are. So now we have that iteration as well that we get every time I drag it on. Nice. Now the iteration logic has been moved into the file manager code itself in the use folder hook, which is a little more useful, I think. And it's kind of cleaned up. It's more simplified. We're not doing any path logic, so it's also better than it was before. Better than I actually did in this commit. And that was it. Yeah, we don't need these resolves or the URLs anymore. Iterate file names for all new paths. That's a good commit message. I'm happy with it. And that's that. Save and send. Let's move on to the next change. Just taking one last peek at this. That we've only done 6 commits. We still have a lot more. Well, we'll see how we get today. I'm warm today. Without my Powered by Red Bull, I'm a little slower, I think. We'll see if how I feel after 2 hours. I want to get everything done anyways, typically. Another easy one here, taskbar context menu. I won't keep explaining these context menus too much, but it's the same idea again, I think. Yeah, menu items. So I've made another context menu. This one is on the start button and the taskbar and the clock. And currently all it does is show desktop or show open windows. And all that does is if the windows are all there and you press show desktop, it minimizes them all. And if you don't, and if you leave it in that state, then when you right click again, it'll say show open windows and it'll open them all. Yeah, but if you do show desktop where they all minimize and then you open one, then if you right click again, it's going to be another show desktop to minimize everything again. If everything's minimized, then it does show windows, but otherwise it's show desktop. Let's do the change here to the taskbar itself. I'm just going to copy paste because I'm getting a little lazy already. Copy and pasting my own code though. So all that changed so far is that I got this made up hook here called use taskbar context menu. Oh, it's the same syntax that we're going to fix here. Where it's doing the on context menu capture. I want that to be inside the hook itself. So let's copy the hook as I've written it and then update it like we've been updating the other ones. There we go. So the hook's pretty simple. It's just got those two options. Either show open or show the desktop based on if the windows are all minimized. I've got a memoized check here. So if the processes array changes at all, if the processes change, then the process array changes. I only care about its length though, to be honest. Whatever. This might get optimized in the future. But basically it's just checking if everything's minimized. If everything's minimized, then say show open, otherwise show desktop. And it's also used for the toggle function, where it goes through all the processes in the array, and for each one, it checks if they're minimized, and if it does something appropriately by running minimize. So the logic of it is, if everything's minimized, then you want to unminimize if you've triggered toggle. But if not everything's minimized and this one's not minimized, then minimize it. So the minimize function is like a toggle in itself, and then this is the toggle to check if you should run the toggle, kind of. It's not super complex logic, but I think I made it more complex just explaining it, even, honestly. Let's fix this one like we fixed the others. So we want it to be this export format. Actually, not a menu item. It's actually going to export that. And it's going to do it like that. And that means that this piece here will now be menu items. Like that. And we need the hook, which is also here. We'll just put that at the top. Doesn't matter. There we go. Oops, 2 returns. So now we can fix this actually to just be this hook here. And it doesn't require you pass anything in this case. We don't need any information from this page. There we go. So now when you look at that change, you can see how much simpler it is. You basically just do use taskbar context menu and you dump it right on the taskbar itself. And that's going to cover all of the items inside it. And then the taskbar menu only has the one menu item that's either one of these labels. Let's check it out. Refresh the page here. Let's open a few windows. Spread them appropriately. Like so. And then if we right click the taskbar, there we go. We have show the desktop. And we have that everywhere currently. And if we click show the desktop, it minimizes them all. And if we right click again, now it says show open. And that opens them back up. If we do show the desktop and then we open this one, now when we right click, it's show desktop again. Now they're like that. Now we can say show open. It opens them all again. I'm not sure if that last behavior is exactly like Windows. It might have been that Windows only reopens the things that were last open. But I'm happy with this for now. I'll fix it in the future. I'm not at that behavior of it yet. That's that. That's that one. Another one done. It's called the taskbar context menu. There we go. Done. Title bar context menu, yet another one. So now we've also added an idea to the menu items called disabled, because the title bar, the window bar, can have maximize or restore, one or the other. Either you maximize it or you're restoring it to its original size. So I need to have there be a disabled state for context menus, which I didn't have in the past. How we're going to do it? Let's jump into the code and check it out. So we have our menu item entry here. We're going to add an impossible option called disabled. And we're going to base it on a class name. We're going to use class for that, right on the li property. If it's disabled, then it has a disabled class. Simple enough. Now, what does that disabled class mean? Let's look at the styled menu. And here's the OL here. Where we're going to paste it in. We're going to say if the li is disabled, has a disabled class associated with it, then the color becomes a slightly grayer color, and it no longer responds to pointer events. So the hover effect won't work. That's basically what I want to emulate that. That gets us the disabled state. I'm going to copy the hook first here for the context menu. It's a slightly more complex one, but not much more complex now that I look at it here. It's going to be in the window title bar, I said. So components, system, window, title bar. We're going to make a hook here called use title bar context menu.ts. And I'm going to paste in the code, which I already had prepared in advance. Here's the basics of it. So it takes in the ID to get the process. And it's just using the same hook that we already have for the minimize, maximize, close buttons themselves, which is the use window actions of on close, on maximize, and on minimize. And so for restore, it's going to be disabled if it's not maximized. And for maximize, it's going to be disabled if it's already maximized. Otherwise, it's restore and maximize both do the same thing, which is run the on maximize command, which is a toggle. Minimize does minimize, close does close. Pretty straightforward. And I have these little separators right now, which I have the word group and I number them. I'm not happy for that long term, but I can change this later. It's a separator, but I need the separators to be numbered currently with the way that I've done the logic. Not ideal. Let's make another note for that. use better logic for context menu separators. To be done at a later date. So that is the... Now, the reason I pasted this first is I want to fix this like I fixed the other hooks, because I've been fixing them slowly here. We need to... Where's another context menu we can use as an example? Taskbar, the one we just did, the use taskbar context menu. So we want this to be the export. We want to do that same system here. Don't export the menu items. Export the function already built. That's more useful to me. Menu items. Yep. Like that. And we need the context menu hook. And I think that's all there is to that. There we go. That's... Wait. Oh, wait. No, there is more to that. We need the definition piece here, too, to say what's being exported. I feel like making that a generic type, but I just don't have anywhere to put it right now. There we go. Looks a little wonky, but that's okay. So use menu. Where's the auto import? There it is. Great. So the only issue now is it doesn't think disabled exists on the item. That's wrong, but let's just fix it. Well, it's not wrong. It's correct. Let's fix it. A nice easy way to do it here with TypeScript, you can just right click the menu item, go definition. Here it is right here. And we'll just add it like that. Disabled optionally can be a Boolean. Optionally, if it's there. And that should resolve that. There we go. So that part's resolved too. So the only piece that's missing now is adding the hook to the title bar itself. Here's the title bar. And we've already made the hook. ... Use title bar context menu as a function. Press save. See if it imported. It did indeed import, I think. Where is it here? Wait, did it? No, it didn't. Does it know to import? There we go. Sometimes it does these bad imports, I call them, where it does the ... That's not the import style that I want. But usually I can find the same path and fix it. There we go. It's fixed. I need to pass URL here. I think, was that what I needed to pass? No, ID. There we go. ID. I think that's it. That should get us the window menus too. So let's refresh this, open a window, and if I right click the title bar, there we go. We got restore, minimize, works. We got close, that works. And maximize works. And now if we right click, you see maximize is disabled, and we can click restore. Just like the buttons already work. Great. So there's another context menu we've done. Doing so many context menus here. I'll say title bar context menu and disabled menu entries. Close all these excess tabs. And we'll commit that. Making it our 9th commit of the night. Back to the browser. Keep icon inside entry. What the heck does that mean? Styled taskbar entry. Styled taskbar entry. Where is that? Let's go take a peek at that. Well, this is the taskbar. Oh, you know, it's this here. So you see the little JS-DOS icon. When I close and it's shrinking, I noticed in slow motion I happen to be looking one time, and that the icon does not shrink. So in the same way that with peak, where when the height is too small and something inside it's not, it starts going down, it's doing that with taskbar entry too, where it's visible after it's been squished. So it's like the taskbar is already that thin, but the icon is outside of it. Not ideal. So we just need to do more overflow hiddens. Typically those seem to be a good use case for me, these overflow hiddens, because I'm always resizing stuff. It's something to keep in mind whenever I'm doing these resizings, that I should do overflow hidden possibly. Okay. I'm going to give it a slightly better commit message this time, so I know what the heck it was I just did. This time we'll say keep icon inside taskbar entry. That 1% better, probably. System and refactors. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. That was a simple one. Hopefully a few more commits are easy like that. Taskbar entry context menu. Didn't I just do that? Oh no, for the taskbar entry itself now. Right. So what context menu? Basically just close. We just want to have close. Yet another one that I did not do that new generic format. So let's just get to it. We'll go to our taskbar entries, which is in components, system, taskbar, taskbar entry. We'll make the hook first. We'll call it use taskbar entry context menu .ts, and we'll paste that in there. It's basically exactly the same as the other one, except it only does close, because that's how I noticed that it was like for on Windows 10. I don't think a lot of the Windows weren't like that, but it seems like Windows 10 is like that, where there's no longer minimize and maximize. Maybe they never were there. I don't know. It's not something I ever really noticed until I took it upon myself to recreate an operating system in the browser. Let's make this one generic like we did with the others. We need the menu hook itself. We need the definition of what we're exporting here, not menu items. We'll make that menu item one like we made several times already. Like that. And then the return is this piece. There we go. Press save. That's the more generic one. So we got to close, and then we just go to our taskbar entry, which is right here, and we add it right below the transitions. There we go. And it's going to not import that. We'll press save. It'll do a sloppy import, or it doesn't have any import suggestions here. It has no idea about that. Why is that? Is that not the name of this file? And that's the name of this? Okay. Sometimes auto import just can't do it. We'll just take this and copy it. It's in the exact same folder. No. Oh, there we go. A little slow to autosave there. Did this not work? Oh, okay. Wait, what is it complaining about? I need to pass ID as well. Yes, we need to know the ID if we're going to close the process. We need to know what process it is you want to close. Okay, that's it. Let's check it out. Refresh here, open it. And now if you right click the taskbar, you get show desktop. But if you right click a taskbar entry, you get close. And it closes. What more can you ask for? Not much for this commit, at least. I'm not going to ask for any more from the commit. But we are going to keep improving the context menus. I think we have several more commits to improve the context menus, to make them a little closer to Windows. Taskbar entry context menu. Yep. Nice. Improvements, improvements. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and this OS was definitely not built in a day. Move event handlers. Here's what I already did. Here's the thing I've been doing through the stream, where instead of doing the on context, I've moved them in to those generic ones. So now we don't have to worry about this syntax, I don't think. If we look at the code, I don't think there's any of them. No. So as to whether or not it's a capturing or a bubbling, that's up to the hook. That makes more sense. So did I do anything else? Did I sneak any other changes in here? Doesn't look like I did. But you never know with me. I'm sneaky. Yeah, I don't see any other changes. So I'm going to trust that this commit message was just that. This looks like a change for some reason, but I don't think so. It's just the indenting. So we'll ignore that commit. Save for context accessing. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Maybe I should have done this. I think that the issue is that the context menu function on tests can have an issue. Boy, how many context menu functions do I have? Looks like I have a lot. Let's go check them out. This is just in general about being safer with my context hooks, because in some tests they run a little it's like at first this is nothing, this is undefined, but when you're doing it in the app, it doesn't seem to complain. Or when you're doing it, sorry, as a test, it doesn't complain. Let's just fix these. There's another one down. I'm just making these a little more safe to access. So if context menu is undefined, don't try to treat that as a function. Good advice. There we go. That was the basics of this change. There was one other piece to the puzzle here, I think. I changed these 6. This too. Is that necessary? I'm not going to do that because... Wait, maybe I should. Let's run the test with what we have and see if the test is not broken. The test. I literally have one test, so I call it the test. It's just the test that the most basic loading happens still. At one point, I hope to have more tests, so it's still failing. So it's probably about that process fix, that last fix I'm hoping. Let's just hope it's that and fix that last thing that it was complaining about. So in the use taskbar context menu, I should have been a little safer with this. Yeah, because I was turning into entries here. Could have done it here too, I guess. Like that. Oops. Not like that. This is fine like this anyways. I'm trying to get away from that defaulting, though. Because then you never know if processes was undefined. When you have a default, you go, was it undefined? Was it ever undefined? I don't know. I defaulted on it. That's why I prefer this, because you still retain the ability to know that it was undefined. Versus the defaulting it, then you lose that ability. But let's see, that should fix the test. Let's assume it does. And I'm going to start looking at what the next change is while it's running. Yeah, it passed. So let's just call it save for check for null / undefined to fix test. Yeah. I don't know if I have to say to fix test, but I'm saying to fix test because I don't think I've found all of those cases where I'm not checking properly. But in general, I like to do the checks, especially when they're so sleek, like just question mark dot. That's pretty minimal. Used to be a lot more complex in JavaScript to just do a check like that. Or I wouldn't say complex, just less nice looking. Don't need optional here. Okay, I'm getting pretty minor with my changes. It's true though, it's true. Let's fix it. So if you see here, I did an fs stat where I'm checking if fs exists. So if it didn't exist, we never would have got here. So we already know it exists then. It's minor, but I don't like those to slip through. So hey, I'll fix them. They always say, leave the code better than you found it. That's my motto. Even if it's just minor, it's like, hey, I don't think I fixed them all there, but I just found 2 more, you know, 2 more done. Next up is this one. Just in case the initial file manager needs mounting in a test. What the heck does this mean? Ah, right. So this is a just in case because I don't think I had a test for it. But this was another observation I think I made where it could have failed in theory. I think let's say for the desktop, if I wanted to use a zip file, maybe then it would have failed instead of using an existing folder. Because in this scenario, mount fs, this use effect would have ran before mount fs would have existed. But currently it doesn't matter because if files exists, then use folder existed. Wait. Files.length equals 0. So if I'm asking for use folder, then I already must have access to the file system. Yeah, it's questionable whether this commit even needs to occur. I'm not going to do it for now. I don't want to do preemptive, optional, conditional, null checking if it doesn't make sense. So let's not. Next up, I think I did some context menus here with sort. Let's see if this is that. Yeah. Did I? What have I done here? Yes, I've added a context menu to the folder to be able to sort by name, which is pretty minor, and I don't even think it literally works properly. I almost debate whether we should do this one because I actually never really got it working in a way that I'm happy with. And it looks like I moved around a bunch of stuff for my unhappiness. Yeah, like at one point I had 4 different orders: name, type, modified date, and I don't know what the other one was. Size, maybe? I don't remember. But now I've only got name in this list, so it's like not even a list now because I just couldn't figure out how to do the other ones in the time frame that I gave myself to do that task. So I'm honestly thinking of skipping this one. The sorting's not solved. I'm gonna move that post-it note. I have a post-it note here. Where did I save it here? Sort files and folders. Let's put it back here. I'm not happy with my solution. There. That's for another day. Let's forget this commit. I'm not happy with it. Just looking at this, I remember not being happy with that. but I had already committed it. So we'll skip that one. That's the only one I did that day. That was an unsuccessful day, I guess. And then I did some more. We're at an hour and a half, and I think we can get through these last little chunk of commits. So what's the first one? Don't lose position when we know it. Sounds like good advice. What do I mean here? Ah, yes, this was a problem, I think. What was this a problem for? I think this was for the fact that I was working on the idea of when you auto size for it to center, and I noticed that there was a twitch sometimes that was being caused by this function not keeping track of position when it could have. Let's go into this function and try to figure out what I'm talking about, because I don't know. Got another message here too from another person whose name I can't pronounce because it's Chinese characters, but hello. He says, I've been following your tutorial on creating OS with Next.js. Thanks for the amazing contents. I'm really happy you like it. Super appreciated to hear people are enjoying it, and I'm going to keep doing this and publish it one day, and you guys are going to be able to use it and hopefully give me some feedback on how you like it, and you've seen the whole process. So hopefully it'll empower people to think that they can make something like that, because you can see what I've done here, and as I'm explaining it, you can hear that it sounds like I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, but I'm no professional, you know. I'm not throwing diagrams in front of you. I'm not talking to you about an algorithm. I'm just going through it idea by idea, trying to reverse engineer Windows and just try to figure out how to do it with what I know how to do with programming, and how I know how to use JavaScript and stuff. So TypeScript and React, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm happy to hear people are liking it. And I don't know, I don't even know what I'm doing here, you know, what is this? I'm just making this side project, and I decided to start streaming it, and hopefully one day it'll all come together and all make sense and all be for something. But that'll be the day when people can enjoy the app. I mean, you could enjoy the app right now, but it's not done, in my opinion. So once all those notes are over there, then we'll talk about it. Maybe by the end of the year, I think. That's my hope. Okay, what was I going to change here? What am I in here? I wanted to find this function being used within what hook? The use window size hook, right? What is the use window size hook even doing? What am I using this in? Let's figure that out first. So I'm using it for JS-DOS and for v86 to do updating of the size when it auto changes, right? So this is for apps that have auto sizing. And when they update their auto sizing, the problem that I noticed was it was resetting the window state, and the window state is a for that ID contains size and position. And here I was no longer maintaining position, and I think it didn't matter when I wasn't forcing it to the center, but it can matter. And at the same time, I never should have been deleting it. So basically, I'll just do this: say position equals whatever the current window state's ID's position was, if it exists. So this is just to make sure that I don't lose it, because it was causing me issues, and in this future commit it would. But let's just fix the bug before we even see my issues. Don't lose, but yeah. Don't save without known position. Don't save window state without known position. There we go. That will bring us, I think, to this auto centering one that I wanted to do. Yeah, center on resize. I think I ended up making it simple in the end. Yeah, it's actually not too complicated. So let's go to the hook that's doing the positioning most of the time for the window, which is use draggable. Because when the window can be dragged, that's changing its position. So that's the hook that kind of does most of the position logic. Let's see. So I'm just going to dump in the effect that I did right away, and then we'll reverse, we'll do the other pieces that are missing here. So here's the effect to make it work. So when the use draggable, and it's actually similar. If you look at use resizable, it has a similar thing where it has this effect that when the size changes, if it's auto resizing, update the size. Similarly here, we have an effect where we check if it is it auto resize window, is it not closing, do we have the size, and do we not have the position yet? Because if I know the size and I know we don't have the position and the size has changed, then I want to keep putting it back to the center. The reasoning behind this is that, like, let's say a JS-DOS window opens at the default small 200 by 250 or whatever, and then right away, as soon as it boots into Doom, let's say, it goes to a different size, 320 by 640 or something stupid like that. I don't know what it is. But if the window starts at this size centered and then it gets resized, it just goes brr, and then you have something like in the corner. It's like bigger in the corner. So I want if someone first opens the app and it's kind of doing that initial sizing, that initial setting up, that it can keep recentering itself on boot up. But then once the person's closed the window, they open it again. If it auto resizes again, I don't want the position again. Basically, the user's already interacted with that app. They've moved it around wherever they wanted. Okay. But when it's first doing those auto resizes, let's just keep it centered because it just looks better. So that's the basics of that. That it says set position, which already is here, of centered position, which already even exists here on the initial load. It's doing center position, but the size is going to be based on the session size versus it being based on what gets passed in on initial load. So this is going to be when the session size changes, and the session size changes when the app updates it because it got an update itself. Now to get session size, we already have the session's position here. Where is it here? Here. So this is the session, use session. We get the window states, and then we get the specific ID for our window state. And then based on that, we've been getting position. Now what I'm going to do is change it to be this, to be a little more clear. So now it's same as before, where it gets a position and now it gets a size as well from window state. And I've also decided to rename them to be session position and session size. So we know that they're coming from the session, because we also happen to know the size that got passed in, and we also happen to know the position here of XY that's part of our state hook. We'll update this so we know when we're talking about which thing. And another piece we need. So we're already extracting the processes here, which we're passing on here when we do a cascade. So I'm going to keep that as is, but I'm going to extract an ID of our process to know, is it closing and is it auto resizable? And that's about it. So we just needed a little bit more info from it so that whenever the session size changes, or whenever any of these things change, it's going to check this thing. But auto size is going to be an onload component. That'll just be true or false. Closing is only going to happen right at the end when it's closing. Session size is the thing that we're going to actually care about, and session position not existing is the thing that we're going to care about for not having this run on subsequent loads. Oh, this was the issue too. I think that was I needed to know that session position existed so that, yeah, I think otherwise what was happening. So let's say JS DOS, it loads Doom, and then I move Doom into the corner after it's resized. I close the window, I open it again. Doom opens in the right spot, but then because that position was being cleared on the auto resize, it was going back to recentering because the position became cleared here. So that was why I had to do that fix from my previous commit. Let's just see if there was anything else I changed. No, that was it. So there actually wasn't a lot to the change, honestly. Again, I've made it sound more complex by explaining it, but it was basically just checking the session. So let's see how that looks. I think it's going to look much improved, honestly. Let's clear the cache so we haven't opened anything. Now when we open Doom, watch, it opens, and you see the resize, it stayed centered. So that's nice. And now when I move it up here and I close it, now you see if I open it again, it's going to do some auto resizing. You see, oh, it actually didn't need to auto resize again, but it didn't move, which is what I wanted. I only wanted that recentering the first time. So let's say the same with like Linux here. Starts small and then gets bigger. And you see it stays at that center position. And now I can move it up here. I can close it, open it again, and it'll stay there. There's a little twitching going on. I've got a note of that on the board. I don't know why that's happening. Another cool example will be Calibri. So it's going to start small by default, then it's going to start bigger in text mode, and then it's going to have an additional size when it goes into VGA mode here. And all of them stayed centered. And now it's no more resizing going on. So now I can move it, let's say, up here to the corner, and I can close it. And now when I open Calibri again, it's going to remember that position. So it remembers starting big, it goes back into text size, but you see it stays in that position. It doesn't center again, which is, yeah, that's the behavior I wanted. So good. So we'll call it center on resize. And maybe we'll be a bit more clear with that commit to say about that condition. So center on resize for initial run, app run. I think that's nice. I think that's similar to how Windows works, but not exactly. I think Windows doesn't auto-center, but I actually prefer auto-centering, and it really looks better in a browser where you feel trapped in. Okay. No action on submenus. Right, that's another one. So you see here, if I go to a submenu like this one and I click new, it actually considers that a click and resets the menu. I don't want that. So basically just for submenus, we don't want to do that reset menu and attempt to run an action because we know submenus won't have actions. Here it is here. So we'll just update that there. When you click a menu item, if there's no submenu within that item, then attempt to run an action and do reset. So now you see I click nothing, but if I click here, it still does what I wanted. Another little fix. We'll go into the no action on submenus that we just changed here. Nice. That was a simple one. We'll jump in here. What's the next one? Only show one submenu. Right. This was a tricky one. It's a little tricky for me to recreate this. I have to change the code to recreate this, I think. Because I don't know if I have anywhere else that has multiple drop-downs currently. No. At one point when I had the sort as well, because remember I had that sort that I've given up on, there's an issue where if you hover over two of them, like you see here when I hover, it goes and comes away. If I hover here, it stays, you see? That's okay. That's like Windows. This behavior is fine where it stays and then goes away again. But the issue was when there was two of them. And I will just try to recreate that here by making two of them. We'll just make another submenu that's identical. I don't know if it'll have an issue with that or not. Let's hope not. So open this here. So now we have, oh yeah, it's got some issues with the keys, but let's assume it doesn't worry about that. Watch here. So we hover over that one, it's fine. This part looks okay, but if you hover in here and then you go like that, now you see how there's two of them. That's not right. So if we go back to the code, I think the fix was simple enough. I think it involved the fact that this was in the wrong place. What was in the wrong place? This. The submenu events. The submenu events are mouse enter and mouse leave, assuming that there's a submenu. So mouse enter and mouse leave, I don't think we wanted it on the figure, on the button. What we wanted is on the entire li element. So I add it here and removed it from there. And that one line change, I think, was literally the fix. Let's check it out. So now when we open one menu here, and then we try to do that, there we go. Yeah, now I'm not able to recreate that little weirdness where there were two of them. Cool. So we're going to undo this change here where we made that second menu. That was just for testing purposes. And we're going to save this simple change here where we just moved our mouse enter and mouse leave events up a level from the figure to the li. Only show one submenu on mouse enter. Enters, say plural. Or, yeah, I don't know. I'd maybe only show one submenu at a time. Make it clear that there were two at a time showing. That was the problem. There we go. Committed. What's next? I like these simple fixes. They're nice ones. Here's where we do a little bit of WebAmp stuff, I guess. Autoplay MP3s. Right. This was a simple one. Let's just jump right into it then. So there's two places to change it. There's when you first double click a file, it can autoplay, or when Winamp's already open, it can autoplay. So the first one, I don't know which is the first one, honestly. Whichever the one is I'm about to do here. This is when it's already open. So when it's already open, if the URL changes, it tries to do this logic here. And then if it turns out to be music, I was doing append track. Instead of append tracks, I'm going to use set tracks to play. That will play the first one. So if Winamp's open and you double click it, it'll add it and then play it. The other piece that we need to change is in the WebAmp hook, where we load WebAmp. And here, when we're passing the initial settings, there's an opportunity here when it detects that it's an MP3, it passes initial tracks. Now, WebAmp doesn't have something like play initial tracks, but what I can do is I can just check the options here, after I've done everything else at the bottom here, yeah, this is the loading command here. So basically, Winamp's loaded. I close the equalizer. I update the position, and then I set up the elements to put it properly in my OS. And then after all of that is done, what I'll do is I'll check if the options had initial tracks, then just run play and just say play whatever the first track is. I'm doing something similar here, where I say if there was an initial skin, then we do something with that. We clean up the buffer that loaded. But I'm basically using the options themselves to know, oh, okay, you passed in tracks. All right, then we're going to do this. Let's try it out. So we go to the folders, we go to music, and we open up the demo just by double clicking. And there we go. It's playing right away. Or if we open Winamp empty and then we double click, it loads it and plays it right away. Great. So that was the two places we needed to change to do autoplay MP3s within WebAmp. It's called WebAmp, but it's Winamp clone from a guy who did it. Pretty cool guy. I don't know him at all, but cool what he did, so I'm calling him cool. I'm saying he's cool. Autoplay MP3s committed. That was commit number 18. Back to the browser. What do we got next? Use join, not resolve. Yeah. This is minor, but this resolve path, if you look at what node fs resolve does, what does it do? Resolve. Resolves a sequence of paths into an absolute path. The given sequence of paths is processed from right to left, with each subsequent path prepended until an absolute path is constructed. I don't know how this is different than join, I think is my confusion. The resulting path is normalized and trailing slashes are removed. I think it does more than join. What does join do in comparison? Joins all given path segments together, then normalizes the results. You know, I changed this thinking join was simpler, but now I'm not sure. Join versus resolve path. What's the difference? Yeah, good question. The two functions deal with segments starting with / in very different ways. Join will just concatenate. However, resolve will treat this as the root directory and ignore all previous paths. Interesting. Well, I sure as hell wouldn't want that, actually. Literally, I always want, pretty much whenever I'm doing this, where I'm passing in multiple strings, I want something like that. So for that reason alone, I shouldn't be using resolve. Because, yeah, I don't want it to think about the path. I just wanted it to put the paths together in an organized way. That also brings me back to that question, though, where I was doing some string manipulation, I think, to do a directory. Where was that? I mean, in several places I am, honestly. Here. Here. I wonder if I should change these to also use join. Honestly, I should. I want to, I just don't want everything to blow up. Am I using join anywhere currently? No, just libraries that aren't mine. But resolve, I think I am. Let's just change resolve first, and maybe we'll table the changing of the other ones. Maybe I'll make a note. Use path.join whenever possible. And I'll fix some of the other ones in the future. But for now, we'll just deal with the resolve ones that can be changed to joins. Yeah, another reason why I want to get away from resolve is it's also what's used for promise resolve. So that's confusing. This is promise resolve. This isn't path resolve. This is a path resolve. Yeah. So we'll make this one a join. And we'll get rid of resolve. That was confusing anyways. Same here. Make it a join. I was pretty much using them as joins anyways. And this one again is a promise. Yeah. So now when we see resolve, we'll know it's a promise and we'll not know it's talking about path resolve. It's a nice little fix too from a confusion point of view. We'll just do that for now, and we'll figure out the other paths later. But I think we could probably use join in other cases where we're constructing paths like here. This probably could have been joins. but I don't want to mess with it right now because I got to think about it, you know? I don't want... You guys probably won't have much interest in me silently trying to think about it, but that's how I program sometimes, you know? I run through the conditions in my own head rather than... I mean, it might be easier to do it some other way, but that's just not the way that I would like to do it, you know? I think part of programming is having confidence in what you've written to know, like, I think, like, basically to close your eyes and be able to run it in your head in a very slow way. What did I do here? Make sure to pass contains a node. Ah, okay. This was another bug, I think, that I don't know how I generated this bug. But I think in general I wanted to do this. I might have done more of these. Did I do more of these? Explicit checks before... Yeah, I think here's more of the same. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We gotta fix these. Whenever I'm running these contains commands, I really should be checking that I'm passing in a node because it's sloppy otherwise. Now, I'd like to know which one I broke. Ah, yes. I remember how I broke this. I don't know exactly why, but I'll just show you guys here. So, I think in my right-click menu, when I'm checking here to know if this box is part of this menu, I'm using a .contains. But for some reason, if I hover here and then I do this and I wobble around here, there we go, I caused it to happen. So I think the onBlur event passed in a node or passed in something to the related target. I think related target might have been null, I think is the issue. Sometimes related target can be null when the blur event is you leaving the screen. I think that was the issue. So my blur events, I need to check for them being null because sometimes related target cannot exist. And a way that I've decided to do that to clean things up a bit is by doing this. Instance of. I actually like the instance of. It also allows me to it's like a coded way to not have to do this TypeScript thing to say, hey, this is an HTML element. And I never really should have had to anyways. Whenever you're using as, it's usually a bug, almost. I feel in my cases it has been because when I'm like explicitly saying no, you're this, and then later a bug comes around, it's like, oh, maybe you're not that, you know. So let's check. We'll say related target is an instance of an HTML element, and then we don't have to check here. There we go. So in this case, it completely fixes it. And this was the menu item. So now if we go back here, we shouldn't be able to have any more. Yeah, now when I'm hovering... Oh, wait, it still happened. Did I not replace the right one? Oh, I didn't change the right one. This is on mouse leave. So I just changed some rando one because I started looking for contains. Let's change the one that actually fixes things. That's this one here. Yeah, this one we fixed was the first one, but let's fix this one. Is the actual one that mattered for the bug. But in theory, you could cause the bug other ways. So I think it's just better to be checking these. And I like this instance of command. It's starting to warm up to me because I like being explicit with the code. There we go. So that should fix that bug because now it's checking properly. Let's try it out one more time. Let's try it over here. So yeah, there we go. Now I'm hovering in and out of the window, and the related target probably sometimes is null, but it's no longer crashing because now it's checking, is the related target an HTML element? Okay. Is that HTML element within this HTML element? That's what's going on. So related target being null is bad. And I shouldn't be assuming it. Yeah, here's another place where I'm assuming it. I've decided I'm going to get rid of this focused element. I made this focused element just to do this, to do the related target as, instead of doing like related target as. But I'm going to do this better fix where I actually check the focused, I check the focused element first. But I want to double check this refactor because there's a nested conditional here. So let's just make sure. We just did this one. We fixed that bug. But I wanted to also fix these. So this here, yeah, I can just have it right on the root of it, basically. For this maybe close menu, if there's no related target, then none of this matters. So now when we put it out there, now we can, don't worry about focused element, and instead we'll just straight up use the related target because now we know it's an HTML element because if it isn't, we wouldn't be in this condition in the first place. Okay. That was one of them. There's another couple cases to fix here. We fixed that, we fixed that, we fixed this. I think there's actually just one more. Let me just double check. Yeah, there's just this one left. Same thing. Is it the same? Yeah, if we don't have a related target, then we're not going to know a bunch of this stuff. So let's just also check here. Related target is instance of HTML element. Oh, we can keep this piece here. That's fine. Extract that from the event because I need this event for later use. Put all this stuff inside the conditional and get rid of that focused element. And we'll just use related target. There we go. So now in all cases when we're using contains, we know that the thing that it's checking is already a node because we've done instance of on all cases. I prefer that. Go back to the browser here to see what did I name these commits, these changes. Explicit checks before contains calls with node. Couldn't have said it better myself, except that was myself who wrote that. So explicit checks. Yes, yes, yes. We got only a couple more left. So the make, this one and this one we just did. So all we have left is this piece here. So there's two pieces here. One thing is if you right click on the menu here, you see here how every time I right click, the menu, my cursor's here and the menu is like there. Now what I want, and also I added some logic too, so that when you click here, you see it never goes below the start taskbar. At one point I thought that was kind of what Windows was doing, but now I see what Windows is doing is when it knows that the height of the context menu is going to go below, then it puts if your cursor's here, the start menu is here, or the context menu is like this instead of like that. So it basically just decides, is it on the top or on the bottom of the cursor position? And that's all that I had to do here to tweak this. It looks like I made the code even more simple actually to make it do this. Let's take a look at what I changed. So in the menu component, which I have no idea where it is, so let's check here. Components, system, menu, index. This is it here. Let's take a look at what I had to rewrite here. I think it was minor. Looks like I removed a bunch of stuff. Yeah, because before, like I said, I was, oh darn, this part should not have changed. That was me, that was my fix. Leave that alone. So I no longer need to care about the taskbar because now if I go too far down where it would go below the window, then it'll just go above the cursor. What I've called it here is I've called it the bottom offset, but I think I'm going to call it the cursor offset. Cursor offset. So the logic for the cursor offset here is that if the position of the cursor plus the height of the menu is greater than the inner height of the entire window, then I want you to take the entire height of the window minus wherever the cursor is positioned. And that will be subtracted from the height here that's being used, basically. Otherwise, it's a 0, so then you're subtracting nothing, basically. And yeah, other than that, we really simplified this function. We simplified it in a way I think we made it more powerful. So now, if we refresh here, you see here. Oh wait, why is my blur no longer working? That's weird. Interesting. I've somehow lost the ability to blur this. Oh wow, I've lost the ability to do a lot with this thing. What's going on? Okay. Right-clicking the file entry and pressing open works. Right-clicking that works. I think refresh works. Oh, weird. The folders aren't closing for some reason. Oh, yeah. Could this be related to that menu doesn't equal change that I did? I don't think it's related to this, by the way. I think this is fine. Let's just show you. I'll demo this, and then let's fix that bug I just found. So the demo of this, watch. My cursor's close to the bottom, and I click. You see, it's the menu went above the cursor. But then if I go here and I click, the menu went below the cursor. And that's a nice little way, I think, that keeps it in the position you'd expect it to be in most of the time. Now, as far as the blur not working, that's interesting. That might be one of those things that I broke and I have to fix in the next video. Let's commit this change. Invert context menu position near bottom. Yeah. Is that the way to say? Cursor offset. Maybe it should be called bottom offset then. Maybe bottom offset was better. Yeah, it's called bottom offset. Okay. Save that. Commit that. And now let's go check that one change that I think could be related. This change here, this is like about clicking and resetting menus. So let's just see if this helped at all. No, it's still busted for some reason. Wonder what else it could be. What else did I mess up? Could it be related to this? Perhaps? It looks like it is, actually. Maybe in this case it should have been an or, and maybe in a few cases that's the case. Yeah. Either it's not contained or it doesn't exist, right? So this is something I just introduced. Now we got to check all of these and make sure I didn't bust them. So in the negative case, it shouldn't be an and here. If this doesn't exist, okay, bail out, you're done. I think. Let me just test this one first here. I'm going to save this. Go back to the browser. Yeah, there we go. Now I can blur, so that was definitely related. Whoa, what's happening here? Why are my folders not being made? Clear, refresh. New fold. Oh man, now it's not working for another reason. What happened? So I might have introduced some bugs here. Yeah, this caused some problems here. Let's just change this to be like that for a second so we can try to understand what the new problem is I've created here. If I right click this, that's still working. Some of my right clicks are working still. Does delete still work? Yeah, rename. Okay, so right clicking a file entry still works just fine. But when I right clicked here and did new folder, let's try something else here. What if I do it here? New folder. Maybe I just broke new folder and maybe that's unrelated. Because other stuff's working. That deleted that. What if let me try this. I delete this and then I go here and I press refresh. Okay, so refresh is working too. So it's just new file and new folder are no longer working. I don't know at what point those broke. So one mistake at a time. Let's get back to this related target thing and make sure I haven't added any others besides this or one that were incorrect. That one's correct. I think this one's the same scenario. It needs to be an or as well because it's checking a negative thing. So there's several cases where this could occur. Now in this case, I think it's fine. Because now I'm questioning if it's okay, honestly. I think so, because if the focus, yeah, if you can't make a correct answer about this, then yeah, there's too many scenarios where it would have needed related target. So I don't, yeah. I hope I didn't mess myself up here by wrapping these in related target, but I think it makes sense in these cases because in the focusable cases, I'm just wondering if this were null, would I want this to occur? Maybe. Let me make a note that just in case I broke it. Well, let me just see if that one change fixed anything too. New folder. No. Is new folder triggering? That's what I want to know. That would have been here, which is part of the new path, which is part of here. I just want to see if it's getting here now. Now I'm wondering. Let's check it out. Do a console log when in doubt. Hi. Nope. Doesn't even get there. So the fact that it's not getting there makes me think we're going back to this same problem. Let's try to change those other two places where I had it wrong. Or where I just changed it, actually. These instance of. I'm not happy with these now. Now I feel like they're busting things. Let's just get rid of this one, in fact. Let's get rid of them all together and see if it's okay. And if so, then we'll come back to the instance of thing in a later date. When I've actually got it figured out. That was one of them. Let's look for others. This one here we're going to get rid of. Oh wait, that was actually the one that maybe was useful. This one might have been okay. Although it's debatable. Honestly, I don't know what's okay anymore. If I have bugs, how can I say what's okay? Now to make these work, we're going to have to do as HTML everywhere. That's why I had that focused element before. Yeah, I feel like a bunch of these commands would not work. Yeah, honestly, this one would fail because it wouldn't be able to get parent element, but that would be okay because then this would be null and it wouldn't equal next sibling. Yeah, I might not have thought this out well enough when I did these changes originally. Let's just see. If after changing all of these, if new folder works, then I'm going to say, okay, I made a mess of that instance of stuff, and we'll just deal with it at a later date. As HTML element, we got to, in all cases, specify this or it gets mad, I think. There we go. That's me undoing all my mess. Let's see if now I can make a new folder. Yep, now I can make a new folder. Okay. So that new instance of thing, not always a good idea, I think. Let's undo it. Let's undo it in a bunch of places. Here, probably we can undo it. Here, probably we'll undo it. No, here was right. Here, I think it was okay. Let's put this back for a second and see if new folder still works. Okay, so that still works, yeah. Okay. Here we'll leave it. Here it's okay. If there's no related target, then don't reset the menu. Is that true? Yeah, that's true. If there's no related target, don't reset the menu. In this case, it's correct. But it should have been an or. That part I was wrong about. So let's just fix this and say fix submenu reset on, yeah, fix submenu reset. That was one of the issues. This was just a test. I'm just going to say here, fix contains, I don't know how to say it yet. Let's just finish this commit. This was an undo. I'm just going to keep that as an undo for now. I'm not happy with how that change was because it didn't really work the way I expected. This one's a little tougher because I had that focused element. I need to bring that back. Const focused element. There we go. So we can cast this here once instead of 3 times. It's a little cleaner. There's probably a better way to do this, but I fought with it and couldn't find it last time. There we go. So that's basically how it was before I gunked it up. We'll mess with it another day. And there's one more, unfortunately, that I also messed up. Focused element equals related target as HTML element. Or null? Maybe that's fair. Maybe I should just say or null. I mean, honestly, that's the reality of it. Maybe I just need to clean that up. I mean, in that way, it was already like this. Maybe that's where I really should have done my fixes. Is because if it's null, then it's false. So maybe that's what I could just do here. If we get rid of the focused element, and we just need to be more explicit here. Focus on taskbar entry. Is that what that was before? Okay, yeah, that is what that was. Focus on taskbar entry, that's fine. It's the related target though. The related target in this case could be null. Null equals taskbar entry is not null, so that would be false. That's okay. So it's okay that it's null here. It's not okay that it's null here because it's expecting a node. So I can say there's no related target, or there is a related target and it's that contained within that. Wait, do I want it to be true though? Because if the null related target, then focused on taskbar is false. So I need to say it like that then. Related target. Would that work? Yeah. Related target and. In this case, it still doesn't know then that it would be necessarily a node. That's fair. Maybe here I could just do it in this one case. Oh, but here I have another check for it too. Yeah, there's no nice way to do it. We basically just need to keep doing it that way. Focused element equals, and we just lie and we say that it is an HTML element. But you know what? It might not be. Or maybe that's where if we do or null, then it smartens up. Oh. Excuse me. I'm gonna drink a bit of water here while I think about this for a second. Okay. Maybe we do that. That's a little cleaner. Because in the other scenario, it would have crashed if I didn't check this. So we need focused element still to say, hey, it's an HTML element or it's null. Then we can check here. So if it weren't null, then it would be an HTML element. That's okay. Same here. We just make sure to check first. As long as we're checking first, I think it's okay. I think we actually were with this one and weren't with this one, which is wrong. I should have been checking in both cases. So maybe that's just really what we need to do. We need to make these contains safer. Which we just did in these two cases. Let's make the other one safer then too, without completely undoing how it was. Oop, it's staged already. We'll do the same logic, or null. And that doesn't actually change anything in these cases. Yeah, here it's okay. Oh wait, no, here it wouldn't be. Same problem. As HTML element or null. Why doesn't it say here it could be null then? Because contains complains about, here it's saying it's okay to get null, but I had it complaining when I was passing null, so. So focused element and contains that. So this was a truthy one for containing. That's okay. This was about truthful containing. This one's supposed to be false, so we say or. Either there is a related target or it's not that. So if that were false, then it would try this. Wait, that wouldn't make sense. Related target is an instance. No, this should be and, shouldn't it? Okay, in either case. No, I'm confused myself here. Or. Wait, so if this is an element, then it was just doing this? I'm not happy with that. Yeah, I'm just going to undo. I'm just going to make it look like this, which is how the other one looked. And we're going to forget most of those two commits where I said I was fixing things because I don't know if I was. Let's go back to this logic. This was nice. I mean, if this were null, let's just think about this for a sec. So if it contains this, if it doesn't contain it, if it doesn't contain it, if it's null, then it doesn't contain it. So could we just do like that? Then this is null would be true, wouldn't it? That would be true, and then it would go into this. I think that alone is enough, honestly. Why is it complaining here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's no related target. Okay, then reset it. Because the mouse left. Or there is a related target. What's it complaining about here? Can't find menu ref. Really? Oh, because I just copied this wrong. It's called entry ref in this case. Okay, that's how it should have been, I think. But we need to test this because I think I've said that's how it should have been a few times and I've been wrong. We've made these contains safe because we're checking for them now. So this has to be true and this has to be true or it's false. Okay. Boy, those were more complex than they had to be. This is the last one. I had to fix this proper by doing it like that. Same idea. There's no related target or it's not contained within, then reset the menu. Okay. Let's circle back on seeing if we didn't break any of this. See if the menus respond right now. There we go. Blur's working. Making a folder's working. Refreshing's working. Okay. Now it's working properly. No worry about the instance of thing. If it doesn't exist, fine. Okay. So sorry guys for that detour of bugs, but I guess you guys got to see me fixing my own bugs here. So all that instance stuff I said about instance of being good, don't worry about it. It's not so good in this case. I don't need it to, you know, if it exists, then it's a node. The related target. So don't check instance of, check for not null. Ugh, that's gross to say it like that. Just check if related target exists. If it exists, it's a node. Maybe I will actually put this comment nested in within this, because I did this and then I undid it basically with this, most of this commit that I just did. Last but not least, we have one more substantive change. We did the invert context already. The last one is context menu transition, which basically is fading in and out for the context menu. So currently if you click, it just pops in. It's just in and out, you know? Now I noticed with Windows that it fades in, but does it fade out? Yeah, it doesn't fade out. I haven't added fade out or an exit transition because I found that Windows transition, the context menu, right click fades in, blurring out of it, it does not fade out. Here is our very simple menu transition. It's not even a hook in this case because I don't need any information from the context or anything. We go components, system, menu. We're going to make the function here called menu transition.ts. And we'll paste it in here. It's an extremely simple one. It's just another framer motion props. I should actually specify that here. It's motion props. There we go. From framer motion. And it's got the animate is opacity 1, and initially it's opacity 0. And it's the same transition time as the other ones have been. Very simple. And we go to the menu. We find it here. And we add our menu transition. See if it imported. Did it? No. There we go. We've done that. And now the styled menu currently is not a motion menu, so we just need to upgrade that as well. Right now it's a nav. And we're going to change it into a motion nav. And we import motion automatically from Framer. And now it's not complaining about that. And I think that was all there was to that. That was a really simple change. So let's check it out. We refresh this. Now when I right click, you see it fades in. When you click out, it just goes away. But you got a nice little fade in and a fade in with the submenus too, which is nice. So that's cool. And that's more like how Windows is. Context menu transition. So we've added a lot of context menus today. We added transitions. We did some refactors, some little tweaks and improvements for performance where we could that were mostly minor, the performance ones. That was context menus. We've added some notes to deal with. We fixed a bug. I think we're done. I think what did we do? 2 hours, 25-ish minutes or so. We got through all our commits. I don't see any other commits left on the list. So yeah, if you guys like this stream, please throw me a like. If you support what I'm doing, you want to motivate me, that kind of thing, throw a subscribe my way. Subscribe to my videos, my channel, and then you'll be up to date on the latest stuff. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks for everybody that commented today. It's great to see people chatting, and see you in the next one. See you guys next week.